Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To some and peace out to the rest of you. You already know who it is and who it ain't. It ain't your boy and it is your man, the blackest hearted, blackest minded, blackest man on social media. Signing black in and shining again, asking you to hit the mother cuss word share button because the message is more important than the messenger. So this message here is largely going to be about a word of gratitude and Negro spirituality. And this one is addressed to, I'm going to address this one mostly to monotheistic Negroes amongst us. I probably shouldn't be saying Negroes, but I'm not saying this with any hatred. However, this is for the monotheists among us. Those of us who are monotheistic do have a particular problem, and it is typical to our people, to black people, and we need to stop this mess. One of the things that we tend to do as black people is to very readily get on our knees and beg our Lord when things go wrong. This is something you were supposed to do, actually, as a human being. Black, Arab, take your pick. A human being, as we monotheistic people understand this, is supposed to beg the Lord, the Most High, the one that says that we should pray to him when we're in trouble. The issue is that we oftentimes want to reserve that for when we are in trouble. And see, there are two reasons to turn to God. One of them is because you're in trouble. And that's a valid reason, as I've said. The other one is gratitude. That's also a valid reason. And I came to understand that one reason why we seem to be in trouble so much is because we turn to our Lord, we turn to our Maker and our Sustainer when we're in trouble, when we need intervention and miracles and this sort of thing, and we do not do so when things are going okay. And this is also a way that we tend to relate to people. I mean, we may love folks and be nice to them, like mom, grandmom, and I got to use these figures because we ain't got to where we thank dad and granddad yet. We're further removed from that than we are from thanking mom and grandmom, to be honest. When things go really well, we'll say, thanks, mom. Thanks, grandmom. Thank you, white Jesus. I'll seek refuge from that. But when things are going normal, we may be nice to them and we treat them like they mean something to us, but we don't tend to use gratitude as a way to build strong ties. This is where we screw up. We do this with each other, especially with our men, and we do this with our Maker. And I'm not going to sit up and tell you that everything's going to be okay overnight, but try this in your personal life. And I'm talking again to the monotheists. I'm not going to tell you to go and thank Jesus. Nothing against him, alayhi salam. But he was a human being who did not ask to be worshiped and ask to be thanked for things that human beings can't take credit for. He didn't request this. But if you are monotheistic, you believe that there's one God and only one God, try living a life in which you call on this Lord more often to say thank you and see what happens. Get back to me, or don't get back to me. Call on this Lord, Jehovah, the Most High, Yahweh, God, or Allah, or Dios, or Nkulu. Some of you listening know exactly who I'm talking about. Try calling on just this Lord. Please do not introduce an idol, a human being, another God, but just try calling on that King of Kings. And if you are one who prays to the ancestors, my advice to you would be Well, the ancestors that you knew before they passed on, like grandparents, maybe great-grandparents, hell, technically parents are also ancestors, and they may still be with you, did not say, well, worship me, and when I'm gone, ask me for things, and I'm going to do them for you, but I couldn't do them while I'm alive. They didn't ask that, and you're not telling this to your own descendants. You're not saying this to your kids, grandkids, or great-grandkids. Many of you would say there's something more powerful than I am. I'm human. So I'm not going to sit up and tell you to turn to the ancestors in gratitude. You're not wrong for loving them and for missing them. And they're not wrong for loving you and missing you. It's involuntary. We're made this way. Even other species have this. I'm simply saying that they didn't even ask to be worshiped. And you can look and tell they were human because you came from them and you human. So let's try this. Let's try to relate to this King of Kings and Lord of Lords with gratitude more often before we in trouble and we need somebody to come and save us. Some say, well, you just on this religious high because you came back from Medina. No, I went there before the religious high. You could even say I went there maybe because of it. But I've been thinking about this for a while. And it's just important for us to understand this because when I was there, I got into a discussion with my wife. And even on the way back, after I last uploaded, she and I got into a discussion, and we were talking about turning to Allah in times of hardship and ease. I don't remember who brought it up. You know what? I'll say she brought it up just to be on the safe side. But let me explain this to you too. Turning to him in hardship and ease, that there's something to be said for that. I mentioned to you guys how my job was in jeopardy. And it wasn't because I wasn't doing the job. It's because I was doing it, but not the way that the spoiled Bedouins want me to do it. You know, give them free marks and all that and just mark them present without any effort on their part. So I said, well, I listened to her talking and I said to myself, it's a good thing for me to go ahead and start expressing some gratitude right now, but I can't do it in front of her and put on a show. So silently, I started expressing gratitude. And when I got away from her for a little bit, I think she went to go and buy something. I said it out loud. Even after the prayers, I said in Medina, before the discussion, I was saying some prayers of gratitude or some supplications of gratitude. Now, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying it simply to say that I know what I'm talking about. I witnessed it. When you get as many complaints from students as I have gotten, your job's supposed to be in jeopardy, not because you're guilty necessarily, but simply because they chose to go ahead and put a lot of complaints in about you. I was supposed to get some sort of notice that I should pack up and report to the company's headquarters in the capital city for a new assignment. That's what was supposed to happen. Guess what wound up happening? I found some evidence that the student's complaint was a lie. Now, I knew it was a lie, or actually I thought he didn't understand. I thought his complaint was based on him not understanding my English, much like I thought with some previous students' complaints. That's what I thought. Guess what? I found evidence that, one, that student's class has a WhatsApp group. This means they knew. See, they're in the WhatsApp group, and one of the students translated when I told them. So his complaint, there's evidence that the students know that this was not true. Two, I found out this particular student, while having been absent many times from class, still is in the WhatsApp group. Someone gave him the link. He's in the WhatsApp group, and he's been in it a while. So in other words, this student knows he's been cheating the attendance system. He's been getting caught. He knows this. He knows that I've not been doing anything extra to oppress him. And he knows that what he said in the complaint was a lie because he had the information translated for him. He knows this. And I got evidence to it. Plus, today, he cheated the attendance system again. I got evidence of it. On paper, in black and white, and from other students. I contacted my boss, my immediate boss. I said, listen, I understand that we've addressed a complaint. I mean, I understand I responded in my own defense. But during the class, I got some extra evidence. Number one, I have evidence that he cheated the attendance system again. Number two, he responded very, 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 very late to everything I wrote to him in the chat. Number three, another student confirmed that he's in the WhatsApp group with the rest of his classmates. Number four, another student translated what I said about the attendance policy into Arabic, so they all knew exactly what was going on and what I said. They did not misunderstand anything of importance. He did not misunderstand when he complained. He lied. Now, the only question is what his motive would be. I sent it to my boss, and my boss said to me, don't even worry about it. You've already been exonerated. We solved this. Now, this is kind of a minor thing. It could kind of be a minor hiccup, but when you got several kids relying on you and a wife, it's not a hiccup. So consequently, what I'm saying is that, see, these things build up a lot, but they don't actually come to anything. And it's not just because I'm doing my job innocently the way I'm supposed to do it, and therefore that's all there is to it, because I've been in situations like this before where I did my job the way I was supposed to and still lost it, or just never had a contract renewed or something like that. I've been through this multiple times before. And if you're black, heterosexual, and male in the West, especially in the U.S., you've had this happen to you too. You know it's a thing. Not only at the job, but even in relationships with heterosexual sisters. So what I'm saying is that, and I won't front, I went through just about everything else every other black person went through, for the most part, except for the bad childhood that the most unlucky of us ever have. My childhood generally was pretty good with my family, not so much with the rest of the community. I ain't gonna sit up and tell that lie. Oh no, community life sucked. Even in the neighborhood in which I grew up, very Huxtable, but the kids felt guilty, like they had something to prove because their cousins still lived in the hood. So you know how that goes. You don't feel like you owe it to God and to Negroes to live in a bad neighborhood. So you don't act like you're guilty for that. You're lucky you don't. And the people that live there with you act like they all guilty. So they got to prove that they're not guilty. They got to prove they didn't get this by selling their souls to the devil before they were born. But my childhood with my family, fortunately, that was good. But everything as an adult that any of us went through, I also went through, except incarceration, and I just barely missed that. And no, it's not because I was guilty. But then I learned something. One of the things that my friend taught me, actually friends, one, a Christian, and two others, Muslims, taught me at different times in my life, were when you pray, you thank God for what he already has done. And this is a good thing to do before you need something. It's not good for God, it's good for you. This is a common thing that they all taught me, all three of them. And I utilized that about 2011. And this bad Negro luck I had broke. In this life, in this world, things started getting better. And everything that would not get better, well, I can honestly say wasn't my fault anyway. I could honestly say I actually knew it wasn't any good to begin with. I just asked just to be polite and to be nice. And when these things didn't happen, other things still went well. And eventually I got this job over here, and I have not been through the same level of job-related stress here that I've gone through in the States. In the States, I couldn't go a week without it at some point. Here, I've been able to go 7 years with less job-related stress than what I would go through in a 2-week span in the United States. Every so often, somebody wants to say something, and the evidence comes out. And again, this time it happened with a bunch of complaints that matched each other. And yet the evidence comes out, Black, you are exonerated. You didn't do it, but we know you didn't do it, so ain't no penalties for it. See, you still live in the memory of the stress even when you get out of it. That's the other thing. And so having the memory of the stress sometimes comes back even when I'm asleep. Job-related stress, cops, different things that happen back in the States. But you know, here, a lot of the stuff ain't happened. And I'm not sitting up here and telling you that this started just recently. I just got a reminder yesterday, that's all. And that's if I wasn't the one that brought it up. I assume it was my wife that brought it up. But more importantly, I started this 2011, a few months shy of a decade ago that I learned this. And this was a changing point in the luck of my life. Before that, luck was so bad, it felt like God was against me. That's how bad it was. I didn't think I had 10 more years left as a sane person. I can't describe to you how bad and frustrating it got. And the only comfort was when someone else was going through worse. That's not much of a comfort. Even then, it felt like at any point I would slip into their misfortunes too. Now, certain things I learned, and one of them was the reminder back then to come to the Lord in gratitude, to remember him out loud, vocally, or silently, but with focus. When things are okay, when things are fine, you thank him. And this is one thing that many of us have not yet mastered. Now, some of you might say, well, that don't make us no different from white folk. I know, it doesn't. Here's the kicker, though. If you have a lot of money to spend and infinite control over people's lives, and you got a worldly life to put them through for a time and an eternity in which they're going to sit based on that worldly life, and you bless them when they don't remember you, are you doing that because you love them? Or are you doing that because you hate them and you're going to compound their penalty when it's all over, when the test life is done and the reward or punishment life begins? Again, are you going to sit up here and reward those who don't remember you? Or rather, make things appear easy, make things easy for them when they don't remember you in this world because you love them and you're just never going to punish them? Or is it because you're going to compound their punishment in the next world? What would your motive be if you were on this type of throne and in this kind of position? I'm not going to sit up and say, imagine if you were God. Let's just say, imagine if you have control over a simulation, a computer program. Let's imagine that. You got control over it. You get to create scenarios for artificial intelligence to test what they're going to do. And before you actually put them into a body, a machine that's going to walk around in this physical world here, you get to put them in a simulation in a computer. And some of them remember you and what's your interest, and they remember others, and they remember the rights of things and the rights of others, and they tend to just have a good moral compass, and others don't. And you sit up here and make everything easy for the ones with the moral compass. The ones with no moral compass. You make it easy for them. Why would you be doing that? Because you're going to put them through pure D hell if you ever do give them a body in which to live in this world. you're going to treat them like what they are. That's the same thing. So in that regard, it may not make us much different from others, but understand that if you see another group of people not remembering the one who made them, and things go well for them, or even appear to go well for them, they're being set up. And if it takes for you to go through bad things to remember your maker, and you're going through these bad things, that means he's giving you a shot. But he's also giving you a shot to come to your own realization, you know what, I'm going to stop waiting until things are bad to call on him. This is for all black folks that are monotheistic. Wherever you live, give it a shot. Try it out. Thanks for listening. Black heart, black mind, black out. Assalamu alaikum. Black heterosexual, non-select male power just because they don't like it. And black patriarchy until extinction of judgment day.